Hey guys, today is just an AMA extravaganza, and I'm going to answer as many of your questions as possible today, including how I feel about other people imitating my style. All this in a little bit. My name's Tom Froese. I'm an illustrator and designer in Vancouver, British Columbia, and this is where I answer your questions about illustration. So today's just going to be a casual episode. I have a bunch of your comments and questions that you sent in over the last few weeks, and I just want to catch up on some of those and go through these kind of lightning round style. I'm going to be answering these off the cuff. I wanted to just post a video this week just to keep things moving on the channel. Yesterday I did post a quickie, just a short reaction video of me finding out whether I made the shortlist for the Communication Arts Illustration Awards this year. So you can check that out and find out if I got lucky. It's a silly little video, but I thought I'd post it. It's kind of hilarious. Anyway, let's just get into your questions. So TVB wrote in and they say, "Hi Tom, just wanted to let you know I'm loving these vidcasts. Great content and very informative. So big thanks and keep it up." So I get a lot of notes like this, and I really appreciate all of them. Every time people send me these things, I'm so grateful. So thank you, TVB, for being one of those people who are just sharing the love, bringing it back to me with just a little comment. Means a lot to me. Thank you so much. This next one comes from Silvia B. She says, "Hi Tom, this is so helpful and valuable." She's talking about my last episode where I talked about managing the illustration process. That's episode 33. She says, "Thank you so much for sharing your process. I wonder if you add a brief description with every sketch you send. Something like a farmer looking after sprouting. I played with proportions so his body blends with the background, etc. This is actually the sketch I'm working on right now," she says. "Or maybe you add a title like farmer, or just name your sketches with a number like number 1. Thanks." So thank you, Sylvia, for your question. This is a great question, and actually the answer is yes. I always caption my sketches, and I usually add a little descriptive title also. A caption for me should complement the sketch rather than just iterate what's already evident in the sketch. So a sketch should be self-evident. When I give a sketch to a client, my hope is always that they can look at it and be like, yeah, that's a farmer with a sprout. And then I just kind of add a little bit about why the farmer and the sprout are a good solution for the given visual problem. In terms of titling, yeah, I might call it something basic like farmer and sprout. So if there's like 3 different concepts and they all have a farmer in it, then I might differentiate with the title, be like farmer with sprout, farmer on tractor, grumpy farmer, happy farmer, whatever would work in that case. Sometimes I will just give it a number, but usually adding a title just gives it a little bit more thought and consideration and feels less bland and more personal or something like that. It's just a more human touch you can add to it. Usually though, honestly, if I have multiple options, I just actually number the sketch and title it. So sketch 1, farmer with sprout, and so on and so forth. Thank you, Sylvia, for your question. The next little ditty here comes from Marina Kurth, and she says, "Hey Tom, greetings from Brazil. I want to thank you for all your videos. I work as a product and fashion designer since 2012, but I'm starting to focus on illustration and trying to develop my own style. Your words brought me comfort and confidence in the journey. Keep up with the good work, both as an illustrator and as a teacher." Thank you, Marina, for your kind words there. I appreciate it. The next piece here comes from Joanna Moser, and she says, "Great video, Tom. I love it when you get into the industry nitty-gritty stuff. The part where you mentioned evaluating your sketches for whether they can be successfully executed in your established style was particularly eye-opening to me. I feel like I need to tune my eye to this. Something I'd enjoy seeing in a future video is a visual tour of the evolution of your style over the years. Can you point to pieces you created along the way that were pivotal, either in hindsight or in the moment, in directing or fine-tuning your path to the style we know you for today?" So that's a great question, Joanna. Thank you very much. I think that would actually be a kind of an interesting exercise, is showing a timeline of my style as it has evolved over the past few years. And kind of scary too, because I look at my past work and I just cringe sometimes. I look at stuff I made last year or 2 years ago and I'm just like, I've moved on. I'm doing something a little bit different, but it's just whatever I have now is more than it was before. And that's the artist in me. I am always trying to grow past where I was before. And unfortunately, I'm also just impetuous like that. As an artist, I tend to want to make stuff and then leave it at the side of the road and move on. And I underappreciate and undervalue a lot of the stuff I make, but that's a bit of a tangent. So in terms of pieces I created along the way that were pivotal, I can definitely point to specific pieces in my own journey that were watershed moments for me, moments where I was like, I want to do more of this. And usually these are bigger projects, and I feel like the client was really happy and they were well received. So this is unfortunately a matter of like how crowd appreciation can influence whether I appreciate my own work, and that's a dangerous place to be most times. But it's also sort of nice when you know what's working and people like it and you like it. There's that nice overlap. I think as long as you like what you've been making and the people, your audience, whether it's followers on Instagram or wherever, if they also like it and you enjoyed making it, that's a good place to be. So those are the kinds of pieces that have been watershed moments for me. And like, just for instance, a few years ago, I did some illustrations for a restaurant in New York called Quality Eats, and they had me illustrate in this kind of line work style and use kind of pops of color. And then they made this kind of interesting, quirky framed installation in their restaurants out of it. Now, I don't work in that specific style of like using lines, but the attitude that I put into those pieces, where it's a lot more whimsical and fun and weird. This is one of the first clients that hired me just to be weird and be myself. And so I really embraced that sentiment and that attitude, and I've started bringing that more into my work. I guess I got more confidence from that work, that people are hungry for work that looks different, not just stylistically, but there's a feeling, a whimsy, a sense of risk and boldness in it. It was just a really fun style, and I think people have really responded to that, and that really encouraged me. So that's just an example of one piece that kind of pushed me into the next level in terms of my style and how I worked. So thank you, Joanna, for your question. I really appreciate it. This next piece comes from Ashley Aliko, and she says, Mr. Froze, you have changed the way I work. Thank you. I took your Odd Bodies class on Skillshare and have some stuff to share with you. Thanks. So thank you, Ashley, for letting me know that's the kind of comment that keeps me doing this, teaching classes, sharing with fellow illustrators. I love knowing that what I'm making and putting out there into the world is helping other people. That's why I do it. So thank you, Ashley. So this is a comment that came to me over Instagram. I posted a few weeks ago. The image said, "You are the secret sauce," or "The secret sauce is you." My point was, instead of getting upset about whether people copy your work or your style in any one moment, you should feel pretty confident that how you make things and what you make isn't just the result of a little formula that makes only one style. We should be confident that it's our heart and soul that shapes our work, not just the tools and techniques that we use. If someone copies or imitates what we do and they do it kind of in a way that kind of intimidates us and makes us feel like, oh my gosh, they're working in my style. If they're working in that style and it looks like mine and some of it's better, what does that say about my abilities? Or what if people start going to them and they're taking all my work from me? I think that we should build a little bit more redundancy into how we think about ourselves, how we conceive of ourselves as commercial artists, that we're not just this one style or this one kind of product. We're artists, and we're constantly creating new ideas with new combinations of form and spirit and attitude and context, and what we bring to every piece is not just that style, it's our experience, it's our attitude, it's our outlook on life. Nobody has exactly our own subjective experience, and the more we're able to bring that subjective experience and expertise and wisdom into the things we make, the more bulletproof we are in terms of being imitable. We want to be inimitable in our approach to our work, even if our work can sometimes be imitated. Just look at all the greats, at Matisse, at Picasso, at Michelangelo, or whomever. There's always going to be someone else in the world who can do what they did, but they'll never be able to make the body of work like they did. Anyone can imitate a Basquiat painting, but nobody can be Basquiat and make all those paintings from his experience. So that's what I'm getting at. As artists, our value, our product is our experience. It's us. It's not the things we make. I got off on a tangent before even reading the question. So let's get it into this question. This is from It's Ann too, and she's coming from Instagram on this post that I just talked about. So she says, I sign up and pay for art classes from teachers whose style I love. It's always my goal to have my work look 100% exactly like the teacher's work. Truthfully, I see no other reason or goal to take a class from that specific teacher. However, just like this post, I'm seeing more and more posts by artists admonishing me for trying to make my art look like the art that is being taught to me. And why is it copying when the student is just trying to follow the teacher's directions? I don't understand what the teacher's goal would be with regard to what the student produces under his or her direction. What determines teaching success? I will think twice before taking an art class. Now I would be afraid to try my best for fear I might make something too similar to what is being taught. Who am I kidding? I wouldn't even come close. But still, this makes me hesitant to sign up for more classes. So I've already kind of addressed It's Anne's question on the post in Instagram, and we had a little bit of a dialogue back and forth. But I love how heartfelt her post is. She raises a really good point. Like, if all these teachers are teaching stuff and they're using their style, and then students are working in that style to work out the project of the class, why are teachers complaining? Why are we saying, oh no, someone's imitating me, this is too close to what I do? So let's maybe address what the concern of the teachers might be. So I can only speak from my experience. I teach a number of classes on Skillshare, and in order to teach the skills that I know that I'm sharing on Skillshare, I have to use my style. There's no other style I work in. And in fact, a lot of the techniques that I use and the skills that I use are very specific to my style. So of course I'm going to use my style to teach other people how to do these things. And we have to be honest with ourselves as teachers that this is just part of the transaction. If we're teaching, if we're going to give something to students, if we're going to give something useful, we have to kind of sacrifice a little bit of who we are to do that. That's what a teacher does. We sacrifice a little piece of us so that other people can grow from it. I do sometimes see student work that looks just exactly like mine, like almost like they wanted just to imitate my style rather than learn the principles behind the style. And that's really my hope, and I think a lot of teachers would hope that we're not just creating people who can imitate us or clone what we do, but they can kind of reverse engineer what we have shown them and use the knowledge behind the style to develop their own style and their own technique. We've all been taught by someone else, and that someone else probably had a specific style, which may have influenced us at first in that moment, in that exercise, in that class, but ultimately we move on and we develop and we take influences from other people too. We become a bit of an amalgamation of all these influences, and we carry that with us and bring that to our own work. I think the place where I feel the most compelled to maybe call a student out about copying my work would be if they're using it for commercial purposes. So if they're taking a style that's very close to mine, and then they're actually just working in that style commercially for clients, or they're making prints of it and selling it. Hasn't happened very much, but when it's happened, that's when I've been like, okay, there's a bit of a line being crossed here. And it doesn't mean I need to go out and on a witch hunt or something like that. In such cases, I just try to be friendly and kind of be reasonable and confront it if necessary, but never in an accusing way. My take on it, my approach to it is always like, you are a unique artist. The world needs more you and not another version of me. So take what I've learned and grow on it, build it, add something to it, contribute something to it. I don't mind being the foundation of this particular part of your growth. Of course, that's why I teach, but take it to the next level, do something you to it. And so that's usually what I say. And so from this particular student's point of view, I think you should feel free to enjoy learning however you learn. If you have to copy the teacher's work exactly to be motivated, if that's what you love doing, if you like replicating a style, 100% that is okay. You should never feel discouraged from doing that. But if you encounter some teachers being maybe a little bit defensive about that, maybe just understand that they probably want the best for you. They want you to learn something from the process and then bring you to it. That's what I would hope. Maybe some teachers are just somehow they think they can teach a technique or a style without being copied, and I don't know how realistic that is. But people will be people. We're all flawed, and sometimes I think we just feel threatened by people who are cutting a little too close to home. And so maybe that's a good thing. If you're a threat to a teacher in terms of looking so close to their style, then maybe that'll keep them on their toes and it'll force them to evolve. And that's exactly what happens to me every time I teach a Skillshare class, because inevitably students make work that looks just like mine, and suddenly it's like a little bit of a mirror or something where I can be like, okay, that actually looks like my work. And now it's time to make something that doesn't look exactly like that. I don't want to just be a broken record. I don't want to just have a formula. So I think it's actually a help if you can kind of see the long game of it. And I'm talking now to teachers and people whose style gets imitated. Like, see that as a challenge. What is it about you? What value do you truly bring to the art? Is it just your style, or is it something deeper? So what do you guys think about this question of copying a teacher's style to learn? Have you done that? Do you think it's okay? Do you think that there's a line that you can cross at which maybe it's unethical in some way? I'd love to know your thoughts. Please let me know in the comments. Anyway, I think that's all for today's episode. My name's Tom Froese. You can catch me at tomfroese.com or on Instagram at Mr. Tom Froese. I also have all my relevant links in the show notes. And if you liked this episode, please like. And if you're finding these videos at all helpful, please subscribe. This year, I'm aiming to have 3,000 subscribers. And if I meet that goal by the end of 2019, I'll keep going into 2020. Every like and every subscribe are super meaningful to me and encourage me and tell me that I'm doing something right and I should keep doing it. It's really you guys giving me feedback and your questions that really helps. And hey, if you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down. I like thumbs ups better than thumbs downs, but you know, if you think that something can be improved in the video, give it a thumbs down, but be sure to qualify that thumbs down by telling me what you didn't like about the video. That way I can learn and grow and improve and bring you better content. Okay, that's it for me. I hope you guys have a great week. Keep making great work and keep asking great questions.